just quickly introduce myself as the author of a recent book which came out a year and a half ago. Copies is available in the CCS.
Everybody has received a copy of your book as a gift on CCS Day.
I couldn't read it.
Don't worry. We'll summarize it today. This is my father's copy. Yeah. Oh, no worries. I'll take it back. But, the copy is somewhere here.
Sanjeev, before we go ahead, I have one question.
Sure.
Why this breaking free of Nehru? Why not breaking free of license Raj or something like that?
Well, who made that license? Is the question. So if you look back, that's what it is. It's Nehru. Gandhi was not a socialist. Patel was not a socialist. Rajaji was not a socialist. So who was a socialist among the big leaders? Was Nehru. So since 1936, the way he got, smitten by the Nehruvian socialism, actually, that's the Lasky was his teacher in what? Where did he study that? Lasky, not a journalist. None of these. It is only a political thinker that matters. So as you go, go further and further into history, you see everything shifts. So Chanakya is a political thinker. He completely changes India's, structure. It is that kind of thinking, and then you have Locke, and he changes England, and you have Jefferson, and he changes America, and the whole concept is, when I say one man, you need a bunch of thinkers, but what you need is not science. I'm a science graduate, right, and I have a very good understanding of science and maths and so on. These are secondary disciplines in life, and the ultimate discipline is politics. The ultimate discipline of life is politics because it is the discipline of the entire society. And Nehru was in that discipline. Nehru is a political thinker, right? But most political thinkers are influenced by other political thinkers. There's never been a single mind that sort of created a new. There must have been in the past, but everybody else has read hundreds of others and then followed it. But at the end of the day, it's always a political thinker. And India is basically, all these are godchildren of Nehru. You are no longer godchildren of Nehru, which is a gift to India. Because if you go on the streets, everybody is still, singing the praise of Nehru. And Nehru is a great person in India, but only to the extent that he brought in democracy. Which is good, because that is at least the savings grace for India. In 62 years we have at least survived, or whatever, 62 years old, purely because we had the British model of the Indian Act 1935, which was again based, go backwards in history, it's a purely the British model of the Westminster brought into the Indian system. So in a rush we copied the British constitution, or they don't have a constitution, but at least their systems. And that is their Westminster democracy. So we were very lucky to have been ruled by British. It's not very odd, but we were very lucky that John Locke lives on in India's constitution. If John Locke didn't live on in India's constitution, we would have broken apart a long time ago. This has been a very bad time for India. The kind of sufferings, in the last 60 years have been beyond belief. If you have been, I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. Those of you who live in big cities probably not so familiar. Those of you who have traveled extensively in the villages and so on, you really have seen it, particularly the remote villages. The life has been quite a miserable life. Now, I would say that life has been worse than what it was in the British times. Surely, it was worse than then, much worse than that. So there's been the microscopic improvement. But the greatest boon we had was that the voter in the most remote village, and I've conducted elections in most remote parts of India, and even in the remotest part, the villager gets up, goes and stands in line in the morning. Sometimes they're having queues, which finished. The last vote was cast at 12 o'clock at night, because they were standing there in a line, everybody, 100% voting. So every villager feels finally that he owns India. So that is the biggest contribution of Nehru. But yet he was a political philosopher, and he basically lambasted liberalism. He, cut it out. He understood the whole thing. He knew what it is. But he was smitten by Stalin. He loved the Russian model. Though he came back and was a bit surprised, all the too much wisdom. So that's why it's breaking free of Nehru, because he is the single source of India's disease in the last century. There is no other person who has ruined India. No other person. So, one single person ruins the whole country, because millions of people, as hundreds of millions of people, have underperformed, have lost lives. Everything that you virtually see going wrong today, everything is traced back to Nehru. Can easily be one step. And his model. And he had plenty of opportunities. I mean, Milton Friedman came and explained to him, this is not a good idea. You can listen to anybody. He's very arrogant, very aristocratic, very confident of his belief, very confident that he could do central planning. He started the planning commission in 1950. He was convinced that Mahalanobis would come and fix the system. Mahalanobis is a physicist or a statistician with absolutely no knowledge of economics. And economics, is hierarchy. Economics is a very fluid and subtle system. The economic world is not something that is visible to a scientist. It's not an engineering formula. We can have all the microeconomics. We do that, right? I'm also done a PhD in economics. You can have all the macroeconomics and generate because at the end of the day, it is not an engineering issue. It is a very subtle mix of human rationality, human limited understanding, which is a really big issue, deep ignorance. All of us are so deeply ignorant. That is the starting point of all economics, that we don't know anything. But we know a little bit about ourselves. I know how this Coca-Cola feels. I know how it went down my gullet. Do you know that? No. But I know that. I don't know anything else, but I know that this is what I know. Right? So that is the whole point, that the economist understands that everybody, even in the deepest corner of the world, in the most remote community in the world, understands his or her body, his mind, his emotion, understand, or at least, even if they are crazy, they at least sense it. Our brain is something only inside our head, and only we know what we are. We can't even see our face, when we're talking, and we can see others. So we're basically living in a kind of a unique system where we see the world completely around us, and we only know us, each of us. So how do anybody sitting in the planning commission imagine that they know the demand function of somebody out there in some remote corner of the world, and provide him X amount of cement and X amount of this, and a whole controlled model of the socialism was introduced in India, and license was part of that. So long answer to a very short question. So that is why you have to break free of Nehru. You have to accept that, like Russia broke free of Stalin now, essentially has gone into the hyper-capitalistic and corrupt crony model, which is not really capitalism, has basically not understood. They are not classical liberals. They've actually gone off it. So basically, so that's the model that we want. We want a classical liberal model in India, which is really saying that we respect each other very deeply. Now, the word here is not just respect each other for formality's sake. Because if we just respect each other for formality's sake, we are simply doing the same mistake that Nehru did. What is that? Arrogance. Arrogance is the biggest mistake. And that is because we imagine that we know what the other person needs. So we tell the person, do this, do that, Please don't. Let the person choose. Give the person a choice. Let them decide. Offer them and by offering these things, and then you also build the other thing. People keep talking, citizenship is there, people's participation. All these mumbo jumbo, it actually boils down to very simple respect, And basically you respect yourself, you respect others. And so at the end of the day, that model simply is a single consistent model of liberalism. Liberalism of equal liberty. We treat each other as completely independent, free individuals. You do whatever they want. Sorry, you can't cut my hair. That's the only constraint. Then of course we're sort of no longer in the same room. But apart from that, what's the issue? You do what you do. I don't care. It doesn't affect. So that's kind of, and that free model is something which is total anathema to socialists, who believe from the Marxian model that there must be a dictatorship of the proletariat, and we must control the model. There must be centralized planning. There must be all these extra controls on the economy, and not only economy, everything else. So they don't delegate. So India suffered not only from those central controls, which are being released, have been released by the way. A large number of them are no longer there. But then you see a crony kind of capitalism which has come. This is exactly like the Russian. The Russian model is very similar. Because then you didn't delegate, the main thing you didn't delegate was to the people, the governance. So this local governance doesn't exist in India. Everything must be done locally. People must decide their own governance locally, their own structures, Where should a road be built? Can somebody sitting in BDA, in the middle of BDA say, us gali ke, us kone mein, there's a small leak in a drain, that drain is going from one corner to the other side and that is, hurting some fellow there, some panwala. How can DDA sitting there decide where that drain has to be fixed and how it has to be fixed? No, they don't know. So the concept of ignorance, which is the first concept of liberalism, deep ignorance, accepting that we know nothing. Okay? Well, I'm taking it to the extreme, nothing is close to nothing. So that's the kind of concept. Once you accept that, then you say, okay, I don't know where that drain has to go. I'm in DD, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to split this entire area. That's all I can say. I provide the security for the whole country. That's my job in Delhi. And then I say, I split Delhi into whatever number of small groups and say, you guys are now fully empowered to fix your own problems. I empower you, we empower each other. So I do certain functions for the country and you do certain functions locally. And as a result, everybody takes the correct decisions. So today, all the decisions taken in Delhi are wrong, 100% wrong. That's why you see the mess everywhere. That's why you see good other countries like Australia, for example, and you see, oh God, how did these fellows have a clean road? My uncle and auntie came and said, how do these fellows have these clean roads? How does a footpath look clean? I mean, what do you expect it to be dirty or what? This is not India. This is you live in a crazy place. Just because you come from a mental asylum, you say, "Oh my God, the people are normal." Or something. You live in a mental asylum here, and that's what we are. And the mental asylum is created by Nehru. Please be clear. There is nobody else. I can't think of anybody else. So now he had gone into the fanatic mode with this thing, and his daughter went even further, and his son tried pulling back. But son was a total ignorant person. We're all ignorant, right? Please believe. I'm not saying that I'm particularly, especially knowledgeable, but the ignorant actually thinks he knows a lot. That's the big mistake. So the problem was that tinkering in the model, you don't tinker with this model, you completely change it. You delegate the whole thing. You let the people decide whatever they want. It's not your job in the government to do this and this quota, I'll let computers come in, I'll do that, but not that, but not this, but not that. What's the point? And why are you still holding on to the control? So I think as a result, the political party that came was corrupted in the extreme, has been corrupted. Other parties have been fully corrupted. The system is fully corrupted. Today, the Supreme Court judges, I'm told, I've met a lot of very senior Supreme Court lawyers this time, and they say they are fully corrupted. So now, there is no system in India which is not corrupted except the electoral election commission. Why India lives on is simply because election commission gives you the opportunity every few years to cast a vote, and people can then actually cast a vote. And that's a genuine election. India's election is more systematically done than even American election or even a more Australian election, because these guys see, Indian election is designed to prevent fraud at every level. It is super well designed. It is like the most robust election system in the world. It is so much detailed and so well done. Others don't do it because they don't have that kind of fraud, right? They don't need to. That's why it's very easy for them to make mistakes. But Indian system is a fantastic election system. But anyway, that's our significant reason why we still continue as one country, and why people are not all revolting and killing each other, which they are starting to do, like the Maoists, etc. And so there's the problem in India has been that we are all Nehru's godchildren. Now, you, Ajay, need to also realize that. So read the book. So, through my conscious mind, what is the truth? And nobody's truth should be taken on face value, including mine. So that's the the key message. Some of you probably haven't. Freedom Team of India was proposed in this book as a process. So I've been in this business. I left the IS. Now you don't know what's the IS, but the IS is basically a civil service. You know that. So I was in the IS for 18 years, and then I left it. And The reason why I left it is primarily simple. I just couldn't survive in that system. It's not the kind of thing we need. It simply is not the way to change India. And the reform needed is so big. And what IS does is a small little patchwork. So I think Anil Sharma was talking very nicely in that thing. Nasur, he says, Nasur agar chala gaya apne body ke andar, which is cancer. If you've got a cancer, then it's a leukemia or something, let's say. Then it doesn't help to actually put a bandage on top, right? So all the NGOs in India, all the king's men and all the king's horses, they can't put the Mr. Humpty back again, because this is simply smashed up. The system is smashed up. It's totally rotten inside to the core. It's beyond repair under the current process. So you can try your level best as an IS officer, blah blah, NGO, SHNGO, your little projects, this that. I have significant views against this hierarchical model, by the way. I probably will pitch in and say you all join politics today, but Parth might disagree. I have been telling Parth, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. There is nothing that happens on its own. There is no way on earth that revolutions of the sort that we're talking about. These are revolutions. At the end of the day, it is a revolution against socialism. It's a revolution against the British colonial models of governance. These do not happen simply because you preach a message. Now, of course, a preaching message is critical. But they happen by joining the political option available. The political option available is not simply to educate the MPs, MLAs, etc., which is fine, you can educate them, etc., or to get people like, Chidambaram and all that fellows. It doesn't work. They can't do it. They are also fully involved. They get involved in this whole corrupt process. They can't shift it. Once you're inside it, you can't shift it. You can take one mud, you can clean up one hole, put it in the side, somebody comes, you move away, they put it back. So you can keep doing it every time and your work is undone and upside. It will never work. So you have to actually take charge of the governance. Now the deal with the liberal concept is that liberal is not a spectator of society. The liberal is a participant in society. We therefore have our differences with the advocacy approach again. I do not see the possibility of the advocacy approach is a patchwork. It will improve things. It will provide some models here and there, and it may do all these little things. But what is the fundamental liberal assumption? Aren't we missing that point, which is that the liberal provides the social contract that he has suggested, that we have agreed to. So we have agreed to a contract. We are in one country. For what reason? Because we want to provide ourselves a place, the pursuit of life, liberty and happiness. To get to our happiness point, all we need is the protection of our life and the protection of our liberty. That's all. Now, this is the simple social contract. So, what is the problem here? Why are we afraid to engage in the political process, which, as I said, is the highest process in all the disciplines of life? There is nothing higher than that. I am in the real world. Now, you might say spiritual, etc. Blah. Okay, fine. Leave that aside. So, you want to do spiritual things? Go ahead and climb on the Mount Everest and sit there. But or whatever, Himalaya. That's fine. You can have a communion. But in this real world, if you want to live in a city or live in a village, you have to engage in the political process. So the liberal must be into politics. There is no way a liberal can sit out there and say, government please do this, government please do that, and whatnot, and so that doesn't make sense to me. At least didn't make sense to me and doesn't make sense today. The liberal must be into government. Sorry.
You sound like Krishna's advice to Arjuna. Krishna's advice to Arjuna in the Gita. The karma of dharma,
Okay.
And the artha. I'm just reading on the difficulty of being good, because Sharada's latest book. I don't know why Parth is not in agreement with you, but I would say the reason why this group, CCS, exists is another reason than what you suggest with political participation. I think that groups like this can attract people who, at at this stage or later in life decide to join a party, whether that's Congress, BJP,
I
or
think that's Parth's work
Yeah.
as well. Look,
And
I'm not undermining Parth's work. I'm actually so grateful for his work.
Yeah.
So,
I just one second thing.
Yeah.
One of the greatest inventions of democracy in the British society in the 18th century was not any political legislation. It was anything concentrated effort on any theoretical framework. It was two things. One thing was called coffee. In London and other cities in England in the 1700s, they created something called coffee houses. Gentlemen went there. They didn't, I don't know, but they didn't drink at that time. There was no beer around, but they drank coffee. They get very agitated and they talked. The second thing was to start to circulate journals. One was called The Spectator, and you know what that was. So in England, the provision of people to get together in a sort of neutral space, away from the wife and the kids, and there was landed gentry. They didn't, you know, like the Indian landed gentry, they didn't need to work for the toil. But actually, I think places like coffee houses, the circulation of press, and places like think tanks can provide a space, and I think that Parth has. And, you know, I can see his strategy, even though I don't know him that well. I've just known him for a few weeks. That he would probably compromise his position as sort of a neutral bridge builder between X and Y and Z.
I agree with that.
But on the other side, I think there was some meeting on Saturday where some talk about a Liberal Party in India, right? This thing at Friedrich Neumann. There was you there. You were the speaker. Okay, very nice to meet you. I heard about it, but through the other way. So I think that's.
Yeah, look,
There's a difference between tactics and strategy.
look, I always exaggerate a bit, so just you get a sense of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to rope in all these young guys to join it here, so that's my
Join your team.
I'm continuing my talk on Saturday, whatever.
I think I'm a member of your Facebook group, actually.
Very good. Okay, so now back to the, I think the talk and FTI. So we've got a better sense of FTI. FTI is in the purely bang in the political space, right? It is also because I've been working on different strategies for 10 years, and in fact I had given up, washed my hands off India completely. There was a history behind that, I won't go into details. And then I said goodbye, and a bit, I'm very happy in Australia, I'm not coming back, and I took citizenship in Australia. And I said I'm not coming back to meet anybody except my parents. So my parents first had cancer, I came back. Then we had a 75th birthday and I came back. And that's why I came back. And then now, this time, in the meanwhile, something happened. There's a guy called Anil Sharma who kept pestering me from London and says, please, do something. Nobody wants to do anything. Everybody's doing advocacy. So anyway, the point was that there's basically people are running around making money, piles and piles of money. I mean, people in my job can make billions of dollars, honestly, yeah, in India, billions of dollars, without any problem. There's so much corruption out here. So the deal was people are minting money in this, looting the country. On the other side, the citizens of India, the educated people are doing nothing. They're happily sitting watching, this is politics, not our job, politics is dirty, we're staying away. So why waste my time in a country like this which has got no self-respect? The citizens do not exist. There is nobody called a citizen in India. They are slaves, and they are what are called clerks. Now, I'm very harsh, and I'm very honest about this. People have always seen either themselves as the slaves of the British, mentally. We're not slavery in that sense, but they're mentally slaves, or they are now slaves of the corrupt. Okay, somebody at the top is corrupt. I know he's corrupt. So what? I still vote for him. And the clerical part means that all the best people, the most intelligent people, many of you sitting here, will simply say, okay, I want a job. I'll just get in like a little, like a sparrow that goes and sits inside a house, makes a little house and sits there. That's it. I don't care what's going on. I'm just inside the house, and that's my little thing, and that's my world. And I'm a technocrat, and I'm a professional, and I'm whatever. I'm not a citizen. I'm not anybody. Please don't talk to me about politics. I'm just living my life. Cocoon. I'm a little sparrow. I just live my life, reproduce and die, and then so on and so forth. So it's a cycle. That's the average Indian. The average Indian is simply a little sparrow, living a life, reproducing, having eggs, sending off children to fly, boom. And someone now they are saying, please go out, leave the country. Most parents are very happy to say, leave the country. It's no longer fit for living, so now you go. So that's very good, by the way, in a sense. Protecting yourself is the first concept of the liberal. You do not protect others unless you protect yourself. However, the tragedy is you can't protect yourself unless you protect the country. This is a kind of a, the problem of the social contract that anarchy soon sets in, which it has in a sense. The kind of situation we have in governance space and what is happening out there in the villages could be somewhat classified as an anarchy, functioning anarchy, let's say at the moment. So that's why I think the idea of political space, let me not wander off into FTI because we are talking other things. Let me revert to the concept why I'm here to share some ideas with you. The FTI therefore is a platform to attract leaders. So it has a purpose, right? The purpose is outlined here. And I started off with a little email invitation to people whom I knew. Please, do you want to join FTI? And so some people joined, including Anil Sharma. Anil Sharma, very keen, the young man from London, very keen to do something really important and shift things in India. Very frustrated about, he's an Air Force officer's son, he's a pretty bright guy, works in London as an IT specialist or something. That's another problem. We have a lot of IT people in India, unfortunately. It's a sad thing for India because they are not, where are the political scientists of India? Please stand up. We have made political science and arts the subject where only the worst get admission. So if you are doing political science, people say, oh my God, this guy is really poor. Stay away. He could not get science, he could not get engineering, he could not get commerce, he could not get medicine. Oh, poor guy. Like really, must be really nice to meet you kind of thing. So, my son studying law and politics in Australia. Do you know how the structure works there? He had 99.65 percentile, which is not 99.99 being the highest in his school exams. That is, very close to the very top percentile. Right? They're very, very close, very extremely top in terms of the outcome. The thing is that to enter law and what he's doing is arts. Law and arts is the most competitive degree among all degrees, as far as I know, in Australia, in Melbourne University, one of the, perhaps the most single competitive place. So he's doing that. People I say are using law and BA LLB. So I say 6 years course, BA LLB, with law and politics. And he'll do finally hopefully a PhD from USA and teach politics. So what do we see here? Law and politics is the ultimate, in terms of getting admission, it's a very restrictive layer of people are picked up. If you are that good, you may get admission into law and politics, which is the ultimate, in terms of the highest intellectual caliber in the state, in the country. If you are below that, you might get, if you're interested, you might get into medicine. You might get into dentistry, sorry. Medicine is much lower than dentistry. You get into dentistry, and then you get medicine, and then you might get into all the other disciplines, and then finally you get into engineering, which is really, really considered low in terms of 65 percentile is fine for engineering. Science is probably 35% percentile. So, you can get in. So what we've done is reverse. So we have IT people. Our best brains are doing IT. I can do maths, but much harder is political science and political theory and law and understanding society. It's 10 times harder than understanding maths. I can mug up maths and I know all the formulae, theorem, blah blah, and vomit it out. And I'm great. And I actually did my maths for the IELTS, right? And maths and mathematical economics. It's actually very trivial stuff and it makes no sense at the end of the day. That's why most economists don't understand economics, unfortunately, because they've done some maths and they are doing mumbo jumbo. I can tell you, I know so many economists, my goodness, who have no clue about economics. So many of them. There's such mumbo jumbo they teach us. They don't teach you the fundamentals of economics. You need to be at the level of a Hayek to even begin to understand economics. That is completely different discipline. Adam Smith and Hayek and these kind of thinkers are totally different in terms of their understanding of society. Even John Stuart Mill. So the current mathematical economicians, they are also technocrats. They don't. So these kind of people come around in India, D school, etc. They haven't done much work. We haven't got a true economist, unfortunately. We have like Barth, honestly, he's a great economist. So these are but the point is that the best people in other countries go for these areas where the worst areas. So we have these IT people who are part of this entire network in India. Now I have to teach the IT people some economics. They all want to do something. Guess what the first thing they want to do? Control the population. You pick up any IT man, the first thing he'll say, India's population is a mess. That's the one. Control it. Second, stop this people from coming to cities. Cities are going too much and crowded, stop them. Okay. So the amount of illiberalism that is being built in, because these are intuitive approaches. Huh? They are, so the engineer sees, like a plumber sees, like an engineer say plumber, he sees a pipe leaking, he says, shut the pipe. That's his solution. Right? People are pouring into the city, shut the door of the city. And so on and so forth. You can get the point I'm trying to say. So we have the great tragedy of having shifted all our best people into the most useless of all the disciplines, which is IT. Well, it is a really low-level discipline, I would honestly say. It is not the discipline that the best people of the country should go to. Now, people may not agree with that. It won't give you a job. Yes, sir. It may not give you a job immediately, but it will help the country in a big way. Because that's what the concept here is, to bring out the best people and to pay them well in politics. You pay them a pittance. Politics today is so high-risk profession, and also pays a pittance, honestly, in terms of honest money. So why would people go to politics? Whereas actually that was a place for the best people. So anyway, what I was saying is FTR, we collected these people. Let me always get back to this point because I lose focus very quickly. Okay, so what we said is, let's have people who want to change India, but in a particular way. You notice in my book I suggested that you must not only be honest, which is a bare minimum. You can't even dream of being into this kind of a high quality group providing governance to India if you're not honest. So that's a bare minimum given. Everybody wants honesty as well, so that's fine. Everybody wants honesty. Even the guy, the engineer also, the IT guy also wants honesty. He doesn't know what makes honesty, but he wants honesty. So but that's a given. Then you need to have the desire to contest elections. We will not talk to anybody, and I'm talking to you, which means I actually talk to others. But we will not talk to anybody in terms of policy matters. We will discuss, we'll consider their views maybe at some point, but we will not waste our time debating with them. I have wasted a lot of my time debating with people who refuse to contest elections. Sorry, I've wasted my entire 6 years on useless activity. I do not therefore debate policy with anybody except members of the FDI. That means not me, and I don't expect them to debate outside the group. Let us at least hammer out the concepts on our own. So let us show you what we did. We produced this little fellow. We actually did it on their own, consolidated some of the documents we produced. This includes the basic principles of FTI, which has been done after 2 years of work. Basic principles and assumptions, these are actually the classical liberal principles. You will notice soon that there are some disagreements even on basic principles. This is only the work of a few people. At the moment the team is very small, but that's how we're progressing. We're saying, okay, let's work on agreements between ourselves. Let's not talk to the public at the moment, or even you. We don't waste our time talking to you because, hey, if we don't agree ourselves within the group, we can't offer you anything. Then you can't, offer us ideas. Otherwise, we have a chaos out there, which is what I had for the first 6 years of my efforts, which is totally non-strategic and futile, wasted life.
You learned something.
I've learned something. It's okay. So anyway, so we immediately started off. So what I'm saying is that to build a group, now we have done 2 years of work so far, from the day of, let's say, inception of this idea, like an email, and we have now come to about 80 odd people who are so-called initial members. There are about 10 observers, including Mana and who else, maybe a few others. And then there are about 20 or 20 odd people who are now full members. Now we built a lot of rules around this process, and the rules were debated and discussed over the last whatever period. And we now have a membership process and all those forms and everything. It takes a long time. We are very fussy. We are very fussy people. We don't trust each other. I don't trust anybody, and I please tell them, don't trust me. If you trust me, you are finished. Trust only yourself. Okay. So now we have to then form a method. You see, this is the problem of information asymmetry. If you took, economic problem is that I have some information about myself. I know how I feel, how I behave, like this Coca-Cola, how I react in a particular situation. I know how I reacted with the chief minister who wanted me to do some, corrupt things. I know it, but nobody else knows it. And that's how it works in life. So if you have no gun, you're still searched, remember? You're still searched when you go on a plane. That is the whole point about this thing. It's a search process. It is a disclosure process. So the way to get over this information asymmetry distorts the trust building, and particularly at critical points like gun in a plane, or critical thing like honesty for politics. Because my uncle asked me, how do you assure everybody is honest? You have honest people, how do you ensure honesty in the future? I'm working with a lot of people. We already have an extremely significant code of conduct, disciplinary process. I'm working with people to get significantly honest people like Supreme Court judges as an independent body to check these things, to check any complaints. So today you can complain against a FTI member, and disciplinary process, which is internal, will kick in. We are thinking of putting an external process to assure the people of India that, guys, we are actually honest. You can trust them. But I find, unfortunately, that the Supreme Court judges are no longer honest. So now it is now becoming a great problem finding an honest and credible person in India. It is becoming a significantly difficult problem to find a single honest person in India that the public believes is honest.
There's a fun little Telugu IAS officer called something, has an organization called Lok Satta in AP. You heard about him?
Yeah.
Is he honest?
Yeah, of
But
course.
he's very inefficient.
Well, we'll leave that aside. We'll not wander off the debate today, but I'll sit with you maybe for 2 minutes after this.
Yeah.
After 5
I've
o'clock.
seen his YouTube speeches.
Yeah, he's actually honest. But the problem with the country is that they do not know him, and so we need a credible. Amitabh Bachchan may be considered honest. You know, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, the standard setting process is as simple as saying this unit of gold is equal to 1 gram. It starts with a unit of gold, okay, or something. This is 1 gram. You know, it's kept in the British Royal Museum or whatever, in a special, wherever. I'm just saying that the standardization process is. This is now we're talking of standardization. So this FTI is supposed to set benchmarks of quality. To set a benchmark of quality, you need to check everybody against the quality, right? So it's like, the screening machine in the airport. I need a screening machine so that people believe that this is actually a genuine screening machine and it's not a fake. In India, everything is fake. So if I get some Supreme Court judge to assess that I'm okay, people say this is fake. How? So they don't trust him.
So someone has to trust him.
So the question is now trust. We have lost trust in each other to the extent that now nobody can actually vouchsafe that anybody's honest.
No, you trust that they're not honest. You trust that they're not honest.
That's the problem, but there are actually honest people out there, right? So the problem here is now, on Freedom Team we have what I believe are a very good bunch of people, very honest, etc. And that is just one of the criteria, one of you. So but back to the point, that we are working on, these are called conundrums, right? These are significant conundrums about political thinking. Mind you, this is way more difficult than running a company, 100 times more difficult than running a company, which is pretty standardized, 10 times, a million times more difficult than making a bridge or going to the moon. Going to the moon is very simple, okay? Trust me. Anyone with a bit of maths can go to the moon. But no, you can't. You can't design a process that people believe in. It's not that simple. It is tremendously difficult. And that's what we are trying to do. And that's where we are debating and we have a process. Let me come back to this one. Let me go there because that will help you guys to get a sense of where, or any other forum for that matter, IFAN and others. How do these groups, which have been formed by the advocacy efforts, and are now starting to explore, tiptoe into the political space, how do these efforts actually do something? Because that's the big problem in life. Atanu Dey, you might have heard of. This is kind of a code economist. He's a phenomenal guy. He writes the India Development Law. And I met him in Mumbai this time.
What was his name?
Atanu Dey. I'll write it down. No, I just write it down, and you can also, if you have a paper, you must read his blog. He's an excellent economist. He's the chief economist of a company there in Pune, in Mumbai, and he worked in USA, etc., and he's quite a diverse and brilliant guy. Okay, we'll leave aside his discussion. But what he suggested was a very interesting point. This is a coordination problem. What he said is really, at the end of the day, this is the public good. What we're providing ourselves. I'm quite happy in Australia, right? And if I was here, I was quite happy. I had a beautiful house, and my wife is in the IS. I'm looked after by the country. I'm treated like a king, right? Royalty. So I have no problems with myself. So what am I worried about? Why am I bothered about anybody in the first place? Good question. And so that's because there's a public good. When I go out on the road, I get a bump. I get a bit of a shake in my body, and that doesn't happen. I don't like it. I'm not sure if you like getting suddenly a bump in the, and particularly in village roads, if you have traveled. So we are supposed to also go in village roads, and that's where we spend much of our life in the initial years at least. And it's tremendously challenging to actually see the plight of the people. Apart from leaving aside the emotional aspects, just the intellectual aspect, the physical aspect, you do get quite a difficult life in the social space. Inside your house is beautiful. You have 4 servants and 2 drivers and God knows what else. But outside, things are not easy for you. And that is why this is a public goods problem, right? And we all know public goods, which is things that a society can only provide collectively. It's a collective choice problem. So that's a coordination. So the key thing with public goods is it's a coordination issue. How do you coordinate all the people with different marginal utilities from different goods? How do you get them to work on anything? One of the ways that we are working on, I think he suggested was, this is what we're doing, is we are actually signaling. We're signaling that we are going to solve the problem. So what we're saying is, guys, we have started a party. Right? So when I float a book or I write, that means nothing. That still a party may happen, may happen. When I send an email, party has started. The party has started. Now, am I credible? That's the next question. It has to be a credible signal. You cannot start a party if you have no credibility. I have credibility in India. I have significant credibility in India. Both within my bureaucracy, people know me a lot. Also in the service, in this advocacy sector. So my signal is credible. People will trust me that actually I'm doing something. They have seen me, I actually do what I say. That is a fundamental thing. If you are constantly cheating and then you say, I'm going to start a party, nobody's going to join you. That's a very standard, kindergarten issue, that you must be credible to start something or to say something. If you are able to then give a credible signal, then the question is, you have a purpose in mind. Anybody with the same purpose now can join you. They may do whatever, they will obviously work as a team, or that's the next part. So the first step is always starting off something. So whatever you're starting, I think, please be assured again that I talk from the level of deep ignorance. I am not here to preach. I'm not teaching you anything. I am saying this is what we did. This is what I think we did. I don't know what the hell we did. But at the end of the day, something is happening. It might work, it might not work. As you said, learning. How many times do you have to learn? Keep learning. But that's fine. That is life. You have to keep learning. So none of this is like a Bible or something that you do it and it works kind of thing. But do have there's an obvious thing that if you want to start something, you need to have a purpose. And as I sort of I was sitting there thinking, okay, what do I tell these guys? And in the context of what Mana said, and it's okay, let me design it. She wanted me to talk on the tools. I'll talk about the tools in a minute. The tools are not important. They're actually the least important part. They are the IT part. IT part is the least important part of the story. It is a very important part from the practical perspective. If you don't have money, which is what we don't have, resources, you can leverage dramatically using IT, and I'll come to the leverage issue. However, it is not the reason why you are in business. The reason is got to be the first thing. So you need to know why you are doing LYF. Was it LYF or LFI?
LYF.
LYF. Or IFAN, etc. So once you are clear on the purpose, you have signaled the thing happening, then you're saying, guys, what is the purpose? Now, it should be saying that, look, I'm suggesting here, guys, that we are as citizens, we all need to contribute to this society because otherwise it doesn't work. So what do you think? Do you also want to do something about the society in some form, in this particular form? So the signal is not saying that I am a great hero. I have the solutions for the world in my head. And so please join me. That will not work. You see? The signal has to be, I am one of the many, one of all of you. I have some ideas. I am happy to hear your ideas. But we all need to do something. We need to actually do the debate and clarify our minds and then go ahead. So the first thing here has to be, which is underpinning this, is the humility. The humility to actually, which is here the deep ignorance. You tell people that I don't know anything. Because you actually don't know. I mean, honestly, what you ask me what I know actually nothing. You pick up any subject, I say, oh, I know nothing, I go to Google. So now I'm Google dependent. I get addicted because anything I have to find from Google. Because I know how much do I remember of what I learned in my college and whatnot as well. We have what is called a human failure rate. Memory sort of fades, and so many things happen. Ultimately, some concepts remain at the end of your life. So that's what we might be in the business of. But the culture and purpose are strongly linked together. And I'll talk for next 2 to 5 minutes on this issue and then come to the tools, because I think you want to know more about the tools. Remember that this is the biggest part of the story. And if you are sort of suggesting that I've got a solution for India, and please listen to me, please be sure that nobody comes to you. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to reform. The coordination problem does not occur if you are seen as somebody out there. You have to be with the party. It's a party when you're having a dance party or some party. If you're not in the dance floor, it doesn't work. You have to be like anybody else and be there. So I think that's my deep, the cultural issue here. And back to the critical thinking. And I think I mentioned to you about, the cultural part that we have on the team is very simple. It's a very aggressive culture, okay? It's a very assertive and aggressive culture. The word aggressive is sometimes considered as a bad word. They say be assertive. Well, it's aggressive as well. Because, hey, I don't trust you. I don't trust your ideas. If that's the case, then I'm not going to listen to you. You have to persuade me. You must persuade me. So it's a very challenging environment. The point here is that we all agree that that's the only way to work. We agree to have robust debate. And there are people who are not used to that debate. This is one of the issues in India. They're not used to being questioned. I think I raised that in that talk as well. That the moment you start asking people some, big shot. Imagine somebody in my rank in the government today, my batchmate for instance, he's very senior joint secretary, head of major organization, blah blah blah, representing India all over the world. Suddenly you walk up, you've got a nice project. You come to my office. So I'm the head of the countries, because today my batchmate is the head of the country level stuff, right? So big things. So you come to me and say, this is the thing, I've got some suggestions. Blah, 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 yeah. The fellow will go on and on. He's not going to listen to you. And if you think, then you raise a question, sir, but what I think is this, you politely, humbly, guess what? What's the chance of being heard? The fellow is going to get annoyed. Prashant, isn't it?
Yeah.
He said, Prashant is asking me questions. This fellow should not be brought here. Keep him away. Please go and look after yourself first. Get settled. So when these people, some of them very well settled, come in, they get a shock when you start questioning them. So we have to teach them. Please, we want to question you. This is a different culture. And look, that's the liberal culture. In my view, that is the liberal culture. The liberal culture is of complete, respect. It's a deep respect, of others. I don't respect the corrupt, but I respect people who are equally good as equals. Doesn't matter the age or whatever. So we're talking of a good interactive debate, right? That's what we need. How do you pick a good idea? So let's say they are on a particular issue, and that's why the Chetna is a great idea, because pick up any issue. Chetna is what you're doing here, right? So I just
Chintan.
Chintan, not Chetna. Chetna का क्या meaning है हिंदी में?
Awakening.
Consciousness. Chetna is just consciousness. Chintan is the thinking. Get fixed. So this Chintan is doing this exercise very well, I believe, which is if you come out with an issue, I'm sure after the discussion of 1 or 2 hours, you go out with a better understanding of the issue, and you probably come out with, at the end of the day, with something that will hopefully give you the right solution within the context. So the importance of team is very significant. You can give the most ordinary people a task, right? And at the end of the day, put them as a team. And if they really work as a team, they'll come out with a brilliant solution. And you put most arrogant individualists together who will never, talk to each other properly. At the end of the day, they'll come out with the worst thing and they'll split up. India has had a unique. So one of the experiences that I'll talk about is that Indians don't work as teams. This is where the culture comes in. Okay, your LYF will not survive. It'll split up very rapidly, because Indians are not used to this culture. The culture has to be built. The culture of respect, the culture of Chintan. The culture of Chintan is also, in this my view, okay, you can have a different approach, but the idea is that the best ideas must be brought out. We want the best ideas at every stage. And the best idea can only come out with all people putting out their ideas, questioning the other idea, debating it, offering alternatives. That is the critical part of the whole culture. The debate, intensive debate on any issue. So if that issue you're not prepared for as a team to work together, and you get put off because, hey, this fellow keeps asking questions, very annoying guy. You know? If you take it personally kind of thing, you're in trouble. Your team breaks down. So I think I've covered more than the 5 minutes allotted to this particular issue. The getting a problem and the process and culture. And I think I won't go into the process. I've given you a bit of the process. How important it is, in my view, to actually work out the process in great detail, all the rules very carefully, formulate these things, each of them in agreement with everybody, etc., etc. So all that. Now, tools for governance. I've classified the tools. So this is the technical part, right? And the interesting part of FTI is that nobody has paid 1 paisa from the country yet, has not been raised even till today. Not 1 paisa from anybody else in the country, except the FTI members. It is a self-funded effort because people who are doing it, it's not a big effort. People are putting 2,000, 5,000, and such small amounts. It's not even much. The website is hosted by me. It costs me nothing because I've got my own website. I just host along with it. The domain I bought, it cost very little, 500, 600 to 700 per year. That's all. And then there is some little minor things. The whole thing is done by people putting their time. So the initial website I designed, I'm also a fancy website designer. You go to Microsoft Word and put a table out there and that becomes a website. It's as simple as that. So I'm that kind of a designer. Really bad. But we got this guy, Anil Sharma, he had a friend out there and he got him from USA into the FTI, and so we got some expertise there, and this guy did some fantastic work and kicked off a website after 1 year. So after 1 year we had the current website, which has got lots of limitations, but it's way better than what I have designed. Right? So that is all. So what I'm saying is, but let me just go back. So leaving aside how you get the resources, what I meant was that this is all voluntary resources, okay? IT resources are available in India. As I said, Indians are IT people now. There's nobody else out there. Virtually no politician, no political thinker, no economist, nothing, all IT. You look at everything. Everybody knows how to run websites, almost. So getting people for doing this is very simple. What kind of tools? I think you're all very familiar with the ideas. These are very simple, common sense ideas. Because of earlier at one time when I did these kind of things, I used a concept called lists. So you probably have no idea of this. You're not even born. So the list serve concept evolved in 1990s and then died because it's too painful to manage. So now we have this Yahoo groups and Google groups and whatnot. So we said, let's use Google groups. So first let's use Yahoo groups. So I started a Yahoo group. Then people, once I got people in, they said, oh, Google is much better. So I have no idea Google groups. At that time, there's not much cost in moving. Okay, there's a very simple. We didn't have much stuff around, so we said, okay, let's go. But afterwards, now people said, no, let's go to something called forum. I don't know what you know. You guys know forum? What is forum? Mana knows now, I'm sure.
Yeah, they have live on their website. Also, they have a forum.
Okay, so now you know what's a forum, and that's very good to know. So I didn't know what's a forum, and I was very annoyed with the idea of forum because now we've done so much work, and now people are saying we can't find things, we can't do this. New people say I can't know what the hell's going on. And we only had 20, 25 active people, others are not active, and about 70 people. With 70 people, you can't find stuff. Then you're in deep trouble. When you're talking of expanding to a big size of 1,500 or 2,000 people at least minimum as leadership team for India, the next leadership team for India. So then, if you can't even work with this small thing, there's issue. So these guys came up with the idea of forum, and they said, okay, let's try it out, and we're still trying out. We've transitioned. There are issues with the forum, but I think Anubhav, the guy I said from USA, is a brilliant guy. He works with AOL, American Online something. American Online. AOL. He works in some senior capacity there, and he's got uses spare time to help us. He actually is a member of the team as well. He wants to come back and contest elections. So we basically, for governance, we've got a number of groups. We have broken up our groups into many parts. When you join, so we use what is called When I say we use, please note that I have not designed these, okay? I have none of the expertise, but I'll just tell you what we use. So if you want to join FTI, you will go to our website, you'll find join us, and then you say, okay, then there are conditions. So we have set up the conditions. They're part of the rules, they're part of the book, and that's where they start from. But they've been refined by the team, so that's not the same as the book. There's not much more refined. And that's where you say, I agree with these conditions. You are given some help to know whether you're a classical liberal or not classical liberal, etc. And then you are asked to say, yes, I agree. And then you say, pen. There's a kind of form that opens up. And that's on Google Forms or some such thing. It's pretty much like a free thing. It's all free. Whatever we've done so far is all free, right? Free resources. And then people, automatically a spreadsheet is populated. We have a group of managers. They are all FTA people who actually get to see who has applied. Instantly somebody applies, they get the copy of that. We have a coordinator of that group who automatically allocates of the people who are on that group. So if, for example, initially we had some people, now they got tired, they left, they did other things, etc. They'd say, I want to do other things. So okay. So we then seek volunteers. So this is all very voluntary, right? It started with me. I was checking whoever comes in. So for the first 4 or 5 members, I checked them. I talked to them on the phone I say, who are you, why are you interested, all that stuff. After that, I set up a little process, and then I said, okay, now somebody has to do it. I can't do this. So somebody took charge of that. Now they've designed it into a really sophisticated process, right? So that I do nothing absolutely. And but I get to see, I'm still part of that group just to see who's coming, who's applying. I just have a quick look, and I do nothing about it. Basically, what happens is you apply, somebody is allocated, the person then contacts the person over phone or email, checks why you want to do this, what's your reason to be into politics, and then they either reject them or accept them. Rejection is pretty common on the simple ground that people don't respond. People are all this young people, Facebook crowd, they're very excited. Oh, here's a great thing. They apply, bing. We ask them 2 questions, they never respond. Quiet. They realize this is really serious stuff. This is not a matter of simply, young kids having a party. So anyway, that's one of the reasons. The other, we have had some extremist people out there who have very different ideas than classical liberalism, and we pick them up through their initial emails. It comes out pretty interesting. I mean, once you see the archives of these things, in some future generation will see them. It is quite interesting to know. You can actually identify the person's mindset by looking at, because we ask them to write at least some words. We recommend you write about 300 words each. So there are 2 boxes in which you write 300 words, and we read that and say, okay, now we know what kind of person you are. We get a sense quickly. But anyway, that's the entry point. And then we have another process to put them into the main group. And that's part of the, I won't go into details, but they must get 5 votes. 5 FTA members must vote for any person to be able to get full admission into the FTI. And we are thinking of other filters. Yeah. And each member only has 7 votes. So that there's no nepotism. It's not that I can keep on voting for people and get all my, chelas. Chela means my followers, special followers. Oh, aja. I'll populate the thing. It's like, filling up with my own followers so that I can get something big out of this. No, but everybody's limited to 7 votes. Everybody. And that means that it is a team, but everybody's got equal rights to bring in. And because they only have 2 spare votes, right? So they need 5, and then they get 2 extra votes. So anyway, those processes are worked, and we are thinking of even more significant processes to make sure that that's still not giving me the kind of quality. I mean, we got phenomenal quality of people in Mumbai. These people assembled in Mumbai. We had a conference recently. And I tell you, these were really, really good people. Exactly the kind of people I was looking for, and I could not find for 10 years. That is quite an achievement in my mind, to find even 20 good people. So 20 attended the conference. But there were obviously some issues there as well, and I'm thinking of, therefore, another level of filter, which will be that they must be trained, fully trained in leadership development, leadership as well as policies, the liberal policy space. We have people talking potentially out of the hat even now. They don't understand this very well. You can understand it's pretty hard, If you're the bureaucracy, army, IT, etc., you don't understand this very well. And so you may think you're classical liberal, but you actually have all the baggage sitting somewhere, and suddenly it pours out and say, oh no, that's not what it is. All that stuff. So we probably will need to certify them. Before we offer them to the people, these members who are there will have to then get a certificate before they are offered to the people.
Control the population.
Well, we can only offer the best people to the India. You know, the deal here is we're not offering anybody less than the best. And to get the best means there has to be a competitive process and scrutiny. And it's done by the group itself. So we have this governance arrangements are plenty. We have varieties of forums now. We have different people having access to different things. Some people have read-only access, some people have this, etc. I won't go into details, but that's where. But any decision making, by the way, any decision making is done by a body called the general body. The freedom team does not have a leader. That's the one thing it doesn't have. We insist on not having a leader because everybody is a citizen. It's critical to understand that we are not here as leaders of others. We are here as citizens seeking representation to represent others. The idea of leadership is very important, but that is actually not linked to the being a leader. So being a leader is really a bad idea, but leadership is a good idea. See that? What it means is that we have only a secretary and treasurer who runs the bank account. There is no national coordinator. There is no vice chair, national coordinator. There is everybody is equal on the team. This is a very challenging concept for people. Another one Indians find very difficult. I was always told, we must have somebody, doing this and doing that, being organized and blah, blah. I said, no. Why explain them? So he sunk into them maybe for 5 minutes. Again, they'll raise the same issue after 2 weeks. But we need this. But I think after 2 years of repeating it, finally now they've internalized it. They've said, yes, that's a great concept. Because they've seen the failure, the total failure of organizations that, political organizations, politically. I mean, it's okay for path type organization or maybe even LY, I don't know. But it is totally disastrous for political organizations to prematurely elect their so-called leadership team. There have been so many of them, including PPI. I was reading the thing, I got the brochure of PPI yesterday from somebody gave to me, Professionals Party of India. They've got one guy called Krishnan as their president, they've got this guy as their blah, they've got this, that. They've got so many people with so many positions and so on, and saying, okay, so who's going to join you now? You're so self-sufficient, you need nobody. You go and run the country then. Nobody voted for them. 2% vote, 1%. Nobody voted, nobody joined, nothing. It's closes off options. It's very important to not close off options because I am telling people, you probably will not be selected by the team. Please be clear. You will probably not be selected by the team. Even I will not be selected by the team. When we finally go to the people, the team will select the best people, and you may not be anywhere in that group. So, to continuously make sure that we are not coming here to become so-called ministers and whatnot. Yes, if you don't want to be the Prime Minister, please don't come here. You must have the fire in your belly, you must have the vision, you must have the desire, all those kind of things to actually run the country. That's what we are here for, right? But you're not here to jostle for position when there's nothing. This is like, when let the parliament be formed, let there be an election, let there be a group of 300 people, then let those fellows in the parliament decide who's the parliamentary leader, that guy will be the Prime Minister. There is a very far away journey. Do not jostle for leadership of an organization. Jostle for contribution. Try to contribute. Show your merit, because ultimately your merit is, even to get into the FTI, these 5 votes, people aren't getting some votes. Some people aren't getting, and I suspect that's because they haven't contributed much. They're good people, I know them. Actually, Shankar Warrior is a great guy, but he's been keeping quiet for some time. So people aren't voting for him. What can I do? But that's the point. If you don't contribute, people don't know you. You won't get voted into the FTI. If they don't know you, you will not get selected for contesting elections, and so on. So it's a challenge to continuously contribute. Anyway, that's how the governance works through email. We only met each other once so far. That is only the Mumbai conference. I never knew anybody before that by face. I'd seen the photographs, some of them. So we met, and I said, a brilliant group of people. It's phenomenal good news for India. It is great news for India that for the first time ever, good people on a good platform have said, we will fight these guys. We will not kill them, because we're not, we simply will reduce democracy. Liberals love democracy. What about leverage? I think the idea is that after you get all these agreements, now our website is designed not haphazardly. initially it was a bit haphazard. As I said, I designed the website, right? I got this table, said put this link here, put that link here, put this document there, blah, blah, blah. Some crazy website comes up, fine. After that, that was translated, but then it's been scrutinized, So the team continuously monitors the website. Somebody will say, this is not good, that's not good. Over the last 2 years, we've had so many comments, remove this, clean up that, etc. Now, every document on the website has been approved by the team. Every single thing is approved by the team. The team is the general body. As I said, there's no leader. The entire team is the team. The entire team, who's full member, is the team. These 20, 25 people are the team at the moment. And it will ultimately become hopefully 2,000, 4,000 people in India before we actually even think of launching some movement. We need the leaders first. That's our strategy. But leaving aside the strategy, once you have agreements, like these documents that I've shown you there, they're all on the internet, right? So that's the key point is put out documents after you have had agreements. The other thing we have is we never put out documents as final documents. They're all drafts. That when new members come in, we expect and hope and look forward to the time when people like you will join and raise the standard, average standard of the debate, and therefore improve the documents. We're looking forward to the time when we'll get the very best people of India who will actually say, I want to have a very good country and this is what I want to offer. And I think you should do it this way or that way or whatever. So that document is continuously improved. But that's for everything, except for the word classical liberalism, which finds mention in the trust deed, that you must be classical liberal. Nothing else is specified. That's all evolutionary. So, what is classical liberalism? Is that you decide. So it's not my view. I've got views. It's not that I have no views. But my views also, I am very rigorous in putting them forward. I put in vigorous views. And I have no time, so I don't even bother about the language and so on. I'm pretty much blunt because of the shortage of time, etc. But we are supposed to do that. There's no time. I'm a full-time worker. I'm writing another big book, and I'm doing many articles and other things. So I don't have time to keep on finishing my emails. Just send off something. That's fine. So long as people understand this is a view. Try to find what I'm trying to say and then counter it. So anyway, the documents are agreed and put on the website. So we're using the website as our communication tool with the public. We also have, the website is based now entirely, earlier it was based on PHP and whatnot, I think you know all these things. We started with our, I said, Word document thing, then we went to PHP, then we went to blogs. We use WordPress blogs. And now it is a 100% WordPress blog. So it's a 100% WordPress blog with our own designed logos and whatnot on the top, the banners. And we are now working on, some guys are working on a dramatically better website, because this obviously has got a lot of limitations. And it's very cluttered. Even though you might think it's not a bad website when you go there, I think it's not bad, but I think people who are experts, they say this is really bad. They think much can be done, fine, so do it then. Because one rule and another rule we have. If you say something is bad, guess what? You fix it. No, you have said it's bad, no, you fix it. Don't raise an issue which you can't solve the problem. Please, don't waste our time. That's a very important. If somebody raises an LOIF, for example, I'll say, this is a problem. So, what are the solutions? Go and fix it. You're empowered. Go and fix it. What's the issue here? You can't just keep on saying, India is bad, blah, 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 blah. So, who's going to fix it? I'm going to fix it. I said, I'll fix it. How difficult is that? How difficult is it? Pipe is leaking. We call the plumber, call this thing, or just go and put a little soap into the thing at the moment at least. Fix it. Do something. Get up. Move from your chair. Don't just make complaints. The culture is very critical. Nobody is allowed to raise objections unless they fix the problem, right? Okay. The other one is, presence on Facebook, etc. Now we just started off something, and now it's grown to some size. I put in a little money on advertisement, so we got some numbers as well. Plus, I think it spreads a little bit. So we have 1,000 people on the Facebook, which is very small, but hey, who knows? It will become bigger today. Twitter, somebody's now tweeting to me saying, please use Twitter a lot. Twitter is a very big thing. I don't know, okay, we have a Twitter website. We'll use more of it. But the guy who wrote to me is not FTI member, so I told FTI, please, I have no time for this Twitter and all that. Can you please let this guy do it? We want to leverage guys like you. If you want to do Twitter for us, please come and tweet. Keep tweeting, whatever. I don't mind. But we need agreement from the team. And anything that is tweeted on behalf of the team must be agreed by the team. Right? These are the kind of basic requirements. So let's get agreements on that, and then we'll do tweeting and all that stuff. You'll find us on Twitter in a big way. We have a Twitter little thing, but it doesn't work, nothing happens, etc., etc. We've got some LinkedIn and some other things. It's all very evolutionary, right? Somebody says, do this, okay. Somebody email comes to me, okay, this, okay, fine, do it. I don't know all these things. I mean, half the work, not half, 90% of the stuff on FTI has been done by others. 90%. I would say actually more than 90%. Apart from the basic concept and, I do a lot of debating, right? And a lot of challenging to people. So, but I don't do the work. I have no time for the work. So the actual design work or this and that forum, this, that, etc. is all done by others. Access. So website access, I have given a lot of access, a lot of people. I own the website. I own the thing, and I own it because somebody has to own it. And I have written and declared this is actually owned now by the team. Once the trust is formed, it is totally, and it is declared as part of the trust formation that this is, I'm owning on behalf of the team. And the moment the team wants it, I'll pass it to somebody. So legal things is very important. People must not say this guy is Sanjeev's website. Ultimately somebody has to own something technically, in the system. There's got to be, but that person is then legally bound to return to the organization. That's very important. Any questions on this side? Because I think that's where Mana wanted to focus on. Do you have any questions on this thing about the tools?
How do your core team get in touch with? How are they regularly in touch with each other? What do they discuss? How to make the things going, moving, because everyone is in different geographical directions. How
Okay, that's actually the key question of coordination. We're back to the fundamental issue of coordination. People are living all over the world. We've got members, 2 of them in London, 2 of them in USA, 1 in Melbourne. So these are 5 outside India, and there are 15 of them inside India, 15 or more. In fact, there are many more in India than that. If you take the total 70, there are many more in India. They're all living all over India, except the East. For some reason, we don't have enough presence in the East. That's fine, I'll be working on that. So the question you have asked is, how do we actually get them to work together? You see this, do not talk one-on-one. I have this fundamental rule, I don't have time and I don't encourage people to talk one-on-one. Even if it annoys people to have hundreds of emails, everybody must talk on the same place. Whatever the issue, please talk in one place. One-on-one conversation means, I send a mail to Mana, Mana sent a mail to me, somebody, we have 2 CCs, like we have been doing some of that, of course. No, everything is not 100%. You can't organize a small event by talking. So we say we agree on the event, will let everybody know. The details we have to organize with 2 or 3 people. That's fine. But for anything that might even remotely affect others, even remotely that their view is important, or something that will educate somebody, it must be sent out into that mailing list. So I probably have sent out 2,000 mails by now, I don't know. Now in the forum I might have sent 80 or 100 mails or whatever, I'm probably more. Everybody's so we have people just posting things, and it does therefore add up in volume. And so we have actually now, the forum allows you to pick and choose which things you want to get involved in. So that's one of the reasons why, we said as you're growing, you can subscribe to different forums and pick and choose what you want to get involved with. I am involved in everything. I just want to know what's going on, and therefore I read everything and I have a quick look at everything. I sometimes don't read carefully, which is why I have to be reminded. But that doesn't matter. The deal here is you're letting everybody know. So and there is no core team. The concept of core team does not exist. It is a team. It is just a team. Everybody is the same. This was one of the concepts India has. I don't know from where in heaven's name has this word come. What is a core group or core team concept? Where does it come? Is it IT concept?
Core team, I think generally what life means with the core team is that they are the one who has been elected by the general body.
Okay.
And they will be representing them.
Okay, then no, we don't have such a thing. We have nobody elected by anybody. But yes, I was surprised to read the word core group, etc. And I've actually been, a lot of people say there must be a core group in FTI.
But Sanjeev, how do you finalize the policy? See, if you say that everyone is equal and everyone is supposed to respond to everything, So how do you finalize the policy if there is something someone has
Voting,
proposed?
sorry, I forgot to mention voting. That's a very good to lead into voting.
Yeah.
We
So
have a
how
very
do you-
sophisticated
yeah.
system of voting, okay? And that's all free as well because there's so many things available today. Right, agreement. This is an interesting question. How do you actually get agreement? Well, so first of all, we have a process where there's a huge debate on anything, like the basic principles, right? We debate for 2 years, this and that. We have potentially fist fights. Well, not fist fights, let's say, intellectual fights. And then after that, we've said, that's it. We can't possibly agree on this thing, but we have some agreement here. Let's now move on. We have this Skype conferences. I didn't mention, there's so many things we do have. It's virtually impossible to mention. We have regular Skype conferences where people from all over the world and India, we coordinate and talk at the same time, and we discuss for an hour or more all the issues that we potentially think need discussion. We have also a coordinating spreadsheet, and we all can see the spreadsheet at the same time because Google spreadsheets. And so I'm guiding. I want somebody to take that role, but because it wasn't happening, I've said, okay, I'll kickstart the thing by being a chair. In fact, there were a couple of chairs of that coordination role, but there was nobody, didn't really work. So I said, okay, I'll do something and let's see if others get confidence. And once they get the confidence, please do that. Because this whole thing is about somebody doing something. I can't do it. It's not a one-man show. It cannot be. So, but then we're monitoring those tasks. So we have got about 100 tasks listed there, right? If somebody says something is going to happen or should happen, what should happen next? Ping spreadsheets. The task is immediately, whatever it was suggested, small, big, it goes into a thing. In fact, there's a separate spreadsheet which is for the IT tasks. So IT tasks are many more detailed tasks. This little thing has to move from here to there. And that is monitored by this guy, Anubhav. He manages that. And there's member management tasks, and that's another one. And so this task list. So let's say that there's a huge amount of paraphernalia going on behind this. Once we get the agreement on a particular, so the team has decided in the open team, so there are 2 levels, I said. Initial memberships, everybody, including Mana, can see as an observer now, but she probably will be removed very soon. We'll give her read access, we've decided. She can read what's going on, but not contribute. And today she can contribute, but tomorrow she can't. She'll have to write to me or somebody, if she has something to say, and we'll post it on the system. But we'll work on that separately. We intend over time to disclose some of these forums publicly. Those forums, like there's one forum on leadership development and some other stuff, we want to disclose that publicly so that the public can read. But anyway, leaving that aside, the question was, so this 70 or whatever people have debated for 2 years. They produce a document, many versions, version 1, 2, 3, 10, 15, 20, track changes, blah, blah, blah. Very convenient nowadays. Word document is very simple. Track it, let's send it over, another one sends it. Finally, we have a version that we say, okay, now it's ready to roll. So now we have got agreements, we have asked questions, any objections, no objection, fine. Now we go for voting. Because this is not a simple document. The trust deed was voted upon, the rules were voted upon, the basic principles were voted upon, the membership form was voted upon. These are really significant legal documents. As far as we're concerned, they are legal documents. They represent us, they represent the views of the team. They must be voted and approved by the team. So we have a voting process. Yes, right.
So I understand the team is continuously growing, right?
Yeah.
So after you voted on, say, a policy document, is that the final or is it?
As I said, it's not, except the trust deed,
Yeah.
which is not final. Everything else, which is almost final, let's say. Everything else is draft.
Then you take in the input.
We review. We will have a process of
You have
review. We have actually done a review of the rules, because the first rules that came out were agreed by everybody through a vote. We had disagreements. There were 2 or 3 votes against it. We said, why are you against it? They last minute changes. People said, I didn't like this or that. Okay, so we'll review it after a month. So we reviewed the rules. It took about 4 months to finish the review. And then we had another vote, and that was published. So on. Basically, we review documents. We have a continuous process of evolution and improvement.
What is?
Sorry. Yeah.
Mr. Sabhlok, I gather from your thing that there are 2 levels of membership. One is the team membership.
Initial member, and one is a full member.
The team and the observers.
No. Observer is not a member. Observer is simply sitting there as a watching. And we
He's
start
not the initial member.
Initial member is the person who is willing to contest elections, meet all the criteria, fully vetted. They are actually now ready to move. We have a rule which says you can't become a full member for 3 months. You have to be on probation.
Okay.
You're being watched by others. Are you contributing? Are you doing something? Are you saying something that others were willing to? Because you have to canvass support from others, right?
So once you become the member, then you get the voting right.
Then you become a member of the team, which is you become a member of the trust.
After 3 months of being
After
active.
being FTI plus getting 5 votes, then you become.
Okay. So
Then you can become a member of the team.
and then the member gets voting right.
All members get equal 1 vote,
Okay.
100%.
Um,
I'm an honorary member. I'm not a member.
Okay.
I am not a member because only citizens of India can be members. I, as I mentioned, am not a citizen of India now. I have relinquished my citizenship. I am, however, an overseas Indian citizen, OCI, which means I can come back to India in 12 months, live here, and get my citizenship back, and then contest elections. But that's why I'm here. And so some OCIs can also be exempt, but they are honorary. I don't pay membership fee because we do not accept any foreign money, and I can't contribute a paisa to the team. Even though under the law, I'm a foreigner. We check that out here. So no, the question was what? Sorry.
So the question is, you said initially you have 70 members.
Yeah, those are the members, initial members.
And then
Sorry,
you have
they're
30
no,
active
no.
members.
Actually, the whole lot, about 80 people are altogether
Registered members.
are members on the groups
Okay.
or whatever.
Okay.
Or whatever. They are actually the members, initial plus others. Of them, about 20 to 25, at the moment I don't have the final figure, they are now the
Yeah.
full members.
Okay. So the others are not full members.
They do not get voting rights.
Okay.
They will get voting right if they are accepted as they are voted and accepted as members, full members. And they will ask you how to start paying money, mind you. We have not yet we have got a bank account, etc., but we have not yet finalized the process of actually, the form has been finalized, but the actual process of signing, etc., we discussed in Mumbai. All that will be done, and unless they pay money, sorry, they're out. Please, go back. You're not here as a freebie. This is a very serious effort. Everything is checked carefully, right? Okay, sorry.
So
Alex, you had a question.
now, did you have like 20 members, full members? And I believe like a team like yours has multiple layers of work. Now, how do you come to conclusion that who does what and how much time?
Everybody does voluntary. If they don't do voluntary, sorry, this won't get out.
So say I become the full member, I volunteer to do something, and then the group comes.
You
to
suggest that
conclusion.
this has to be done, and you do it. End of the story.
Okay.
You come up with a proposal saying this needs to be done. This team has a gap here. I've identified this problem. I think somebody said our website is not good. So okay, go and fix it.
Okay.
Tell us what you want to.
Yeah, and if that person doesn't do it, then
Then the thing never gets done.
but what happens to the person who makes commitment but never does it?
Nothing happens. Well, he will simply be kicked out of the team because ultimately what will happen is
So who takes
Who
over?
decides?
Voting, okay?
the disciplinary process, right? The disciplinary process is the code of conduct says you must be involved. You must do something. You must not be sitting there watching.
So
So
there is
after-
a review of people after
Yeah.
a while, is it?
Sorry?
There's a review or something that happens periodically that says, okay, in the past X months,
Well,
this person has not
mind
done
you,
it.
the review has been
How do
happening
you-
through this process we developed. We said so many people are sitting there doing nothing, so we can't have them, voting on our process.
So who reviews?
The team,
When?
the whole team reviews everything.
Apparently,
When?
the same way.
When?
It's evolutionary, which means if I decide something has to be done today, or somebody else says this, not decide. If I suggest that this has to be done today, this is not a good thing. We need to improve it. Bing, the review can start.
So there has
However,
to be a certain single person, very central person coordinating or
there's no
overseeing.
you are not hierarchian. Please be hierarchian. Please get into the order of the spontaneous order. This is spontaneous order. You will be surprised. Spontaneous order actually works. There is no concept in this place for a central planner or a coordinator. We are talking of
But you
natural
have
coordination.
these groups, na? There are these groups. So there are some people who manage these groups.
Which groups?
The
Only the
forums.
no. Everybody's there's no management of a group. You're just there. If a back office group, so we have a back office group to discuss IT issues, right? Website. There's no manager. You don't need manager because there's simply discussion place. If somebody has an issue, we'll raise it and discuss.
What about Facebook? You said, like, for instance, if you have to, you said Facebook and Twitter. So in Twitter, if any tweet needs to go out, the whole team needs to discuss.
Now that is where I think a process has to be built because we've not been tweeting. Right?
Okay,
Now,
but in Facebook, for instance, there has to be one manager, two managers.
I was simply the guy who started it, and I've been writing a few things here and there. Now I gave it also access to Bhuvan, Shuvan, everybody. Actually, I gave access to lots of people. They did nothing. So I said, okay, whoever does it, that guy and others will go. So basically, I've given to Bhuvan and a couple of other guys. They write whatever they want as well. Everybody does whatever they want. It's a free for all.
So the general body is again the full body is general body.
Yeah, the Facebook is not really a dramatic deal for FTI. It's just one of the things. You know. It's there, and nobody even looks at it most of the time. And Twitter, however, will actually be an official thing. I'm assuming. I don't know. You know, if it is just a matter of my tweeting something periodically or something, that's okay. But once it grows, you know, you have to have a process. And in our process, the system, anything that is official must be approved by the FTI board. FTI board comprises two people, the secretary and the treasurer. That's it. So we have the very flat structure. Everybody is part of the team. Two of these guys are, they actually register their trust, right? One is secretary, one is the, and they have a limited lifetime of 3 years. After that, they will be elected again. But these two are the board. That's it. We have a 2-member board. And everything official has to be certified by them, and we have a mailing list for that. All board decisions are because it's a legal process. We have them archived systematically. There's a board at freedomteam.in email list, mailing list, which is kept separately, and all that stuff. So we have all those little processes. Mind you, why do I know this? Because I did all these things. I was a technical support to a internet service provider in USA. As part-time work and do my PhD. I know a hell of a lot about these kind of things, back office stuff. And so I've been doing all this because I just know it is natural to me, in a sense. Yeah.
FTI is registered?
It is a registered trust.
Trust. Okay. So what happens when a person says, I'm ready to contest elections in India?
Well, nothing happens. The team has to decide at the end. I mean, the person wants to contest, we do it. We never stop anybody. If you want to contest, go and contest.
Do you all discuss?
You don't have a political wing, like, so you may go and join Congress or BJP.
Well, if you're interested in that, please join that. I mean, but then you're not part of FTI. See, we are willing to have people from Lok Satta, PTI, and others, and the so-called honest parties, and the liberal parties. We can have some kind of relationships with them, and their members can join, because this is a not-for-profit organization. It is not a political party. These guys can happily join. But if you say, I want to join Congress, question mark. Why do you want to join Congress? A socialist party which is ruining India, and then you claim you want to be honest, but show us how they are honest. And then we'll probably question you and get rid of you.
So, but FTI doesn't have any, FTI doesn't create a corpus for this person's lobbying, policy, election campaigning efforts.
Which one? That is the plan. But today we have no money. See, the deal with India is this, that people are not even willing to come and say, we will contest in principle. In principle. This is only saying you will contest in principle when everything is ready, blah, 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 then you will contest. Even that people are not willing. Where is the idea of going out and you don't lose elections? Huh? One fundamental policy here is FTI is not in the business of wasting time and money. So right now what we're doing is very strategic, very systematic, and we will hopefully work on a plan of action and then offer people a proper thing.
But as part of their strategy, like fundraising and all is part of one of the strategies that will come at a later stage.
No, we already have some fundraising approaches we're making. Sorry.
Say out of 70 members, my presumption is that 70 have become full-time members. After 3 months, they all have voting rights. Now, one of them proposed that let's have review of who is doing how much work. And
you just ignore the guy. You just ignore the guy. There's no possibility of having us to review each other. Sorry. We are not reviewing your commitment. We are not reviewing the amount of work you do. It is impossible. People are doing different things. People are working full time. We have continuously prevented any. This is a very common question, by the way. Interestingly, virtually everybody comes and says, we must check everybody's work, how much they are working. So, no.
So how do you kick them out then, if somebody is inactive?
We have a natural filter, right? Like the voting process. Of the 70, those who didn't work were not voted in. End of the story.
But that's only after.
But once they get in,
you should see the level of activity of these 20. They are very active.
As of now, you are 20, but tomorrow when you become 200.
I have got lots of things in my mind. I'm sure others have in mind. We will filter out anybody who doesn't want to work.
That's what they want to understand.
Who
Understand that
and when?
process.
Okay. If you raise that question, we'll say, okay, guys, tell us what you want to do. We will not review anything, but think of something else which will apply uniformly. Uniform. The hierarchy principle? The rule must be uniform.
Yeah, but then
Apply a uniform filter that will clear up all the rubbish that you don't want in the team. So one filter we said is the training filter. That they must be fully trained and must be certified. That's my filter I'm proposing. And if that filter applies and accepted by the team, that will apply to everybody in the future. Now that will be kept as a reserve filter. Obviously we have to first have training institute, all those things built before we can. But that is the in-principle filter. Then for this kind of thing we might have other filters. Some other voting process. Saying it, because then you basically are suggesting by asking this question that some people are not working and I'm doing more work.
which is very usual thing to happen in any organization and we are facing this problem in all the voluntary organizations.
Yes, of course. See, remember this, you're aware, if you go back, please go and study some economics, you'll realize that under the coordination problem or the collective choice problem is the difference marginal utility that people are getting from a particular good. They are having also the personal constraint, the budget constraints are different, the other constraints are different. Accordingly, they react completely differently to a particular situation. Which means that some people really want change and are willing to do something about it. Some people want change but not that much, but they're willing to join but not do so much work. Some people have got the desire to contest elections 5 years down the line, they want to join you but they have family responsibilities, their constraints. We are all different. And the coordination problem we can only resolve through a single common rule. We cannot, it is virtually impossible to price discriminate. What you're suggesting is that I should be able to detect your exact utility and your exact optimal contribution. Because ultimately everybody is supposed to be assessing their how much family commitment, this, that, how much time.
Not really in terms of whether, the level of inputs, but at least if you have committed something, have you done that or not? For example, in our group, we give you a choice how much you want to commit. But once you commit, you must do that.
The word must cannot exist because it's voluntary, but hold on, but that's a very good point.
But the commitment was voluntary.
Even if it's voluntary or not, if you take on a responsibility, you're still responsible for giving an input, right?
I think what you're saying is right, and that is exactly how we have functioned. That people who have not so far been working for the team have been filtered out.
Yeah, but isn't that, as you said before?
Before the vote.
But that's before. Like for instance, do you have a disciplinary committee? At some point you had a disciplinary
Just
committee.
show me that, I'll tell you what it says in the code of conduct. There is a process for that, by the way, we had a debate about this. Mind you, these kind of things are very important to conceptualize in advance and always, get agreements on these things. Let me just go to the code of conduct. Key principles, blah, blah. So we have things that they must have integrity, compliance with laws of India, decency, and we define what means, responsibility, they must act as responsible citizens, accountable, etc. Freedom of expression, blah, blah, on FTI, being mindful of FTI's reputation at all times, public scrutiny, they must commit to high level, organizational matters, here we are. Members of FTI commit to meeting the obligations set out in the Code of Conduct and other rules and procedures of FTI. Members commit to making a contribution of their personal time and energy to FTI and to learning about good policy. This is what the kind of line we put in after agreement, which says members commit to making a contribution of their personal time and energy. You're not looking for the money. You're looking for the time and energy to FTI. Now, what happens if you fail to do this? You can complain against somebody. I mean, if the worst comes to worst, we will apply this. If you find somebody is not working, the discipline process allows for 5.1.3e, indifferent participation. Should a particular member not volunteer to undertake any activity to advance the objects of FTI, the disciplinary committee may provide encouragement to such a member, but after repeated requests, if indifferent participation is evinced, then the committee could initiate termination proceedings.
Yeah, that's what they want.
So, what is the committee?
The disciplinary committee is elected body by the team.
Okay, so
It's already publicly available to the members. But as I said, I want to get Supreme Court judges and so on into that.
Tell me one thing, Sanjeev. Apart from these members, and you all discuss on what FTI should be and all. Do you all also discuss on the issues?
Yeah, of course.
And do you come out with a policy on what FTI believes in and this issue, and this is what we believe in?
Yeah, we have done for only one so far. That is the religious freedom issue for policy. We have got the basic principles out there, which have been debated for 2 years and come out after a lot of discussion with certain things. But we'll obviously work on other policies in the coming year. And we aim ultimately to not to go to policies, because policies are meaningless, but you actually have to go from how do you get India from point A to the policy space.
Yeah.
So you have to have a blueprint of action,
Yeah.
an action plan. Under each policy must be a detailed action plan. Day one, if you read my book, I'm going to touch it and show you the places, but you can read it. It's a very detailed blueprint. Okay, I work in the space of administration, right? My specialization in life has been implementation of major projects and things. And I know that nothing gets done until you have worked out to the last detail. A metro cannot be designed and built unless you have exactly planned all resources to the right, to the bottom, allowed for flexibility at certain critical junctures, trained the right people at the right level, done all the many things required so that the metro can be built or whatever can be done. Similarly, in the case of a policy, to get to the point of religious freedom in India, in the manner that we have suggested, which is quite a dramatic shift from current position in India, by the way, you will need to have an outline of the correct laws that you need to design, the kind of laws that need to be shifted, the names of the laws, the description of the change. You will have to do a lot of policy work and put it out there in the public domain for people to understand, and then be able to explain to them. Now that work, obviously, we don't have time. You see, one of the things we don't have is time. FTI members are full-time members, they're working full-time, except one person who's retired. So 2 persons are retired. And now 3. One ex-vice chief of naval staff has joined us. They're all full-time. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Did you work before me? Don't worry, she'll also talk.
It's not very related.
I have to go. I have to be in a meeting. I'm assuming that I'm working on my time. I have to be there at 6 o'clock. It's 5.
5.
I have to be here in Habitat Center. That's pretty close, isn't it?
There is something called Indian Liberal Group in Mumbai.
Yes.
And I'm checking out the website, and I thought I might join them. Now I might join FTI instead. But what is the difference? And your success in Mumbai, was that related to the Liberal Group presence?
No. We have members all over the world and India of FTI. There is no relationship left. ILG. ILG is basically a bunch of retired people who do nothing.
Yeah, it's a group of board.
Honestly.
Sorry.
Maybe I'm getting old too, so maybe I will join.
No.
I will be old very soon.
They are basically retired bureaucrats, retired senior bureaucrats and industrialists and a few others, who are basically, talking. Periodically they come and talk to each other and say this is how India should be, and then they go home and they have a cup of tea and that's it.
I did a Google search, so I also like Google, on the Liberal Party of India, and there is something called the Liberal Party of India.
Which is my website.
And Khushwant Singh is a member, is that right?
No.
Because I saw the list of members was Khushwant Singh was in there.
No. The Khushwant Singh is not there. Gurcharan Das is definitely a member of that. Was a member. Look, that was my third attempt. I won't go to history, but I started what is called the India Policy Institute first. After that, I worked on the Swatantra Bharat Party, which was, in fact, I did.
Which party?
Swatantra Bharat Party. But before the Swatantra Bharat Party, I actually had a little discussion before I left India to start a political party separately. IPI is not a political party, so it's a think tank. Then I had this thing called Liberal Party, which I did for about 2 months, and then I said, that's it, I'm off, goodbye. And I said never to come back to India except to parents. Yeah. Now I'm here, only it's quite different to what I decided. The fact that I'm standing here, the fact I've done this, because that book I had a couple of questions. I said, somebody said, what are you going to do after this? So you've got all these plans, you've told everything you have to say, what else? So I've got something else I've got to say. I'm writing a big book, right? But so I put an action plan, right? So that action plan, yeah. And because people post me and suggested, please say something, what should be done? Say, exact plan. So I got action plan. Then this guy from London said, okay, now do it. Somebody's going to, you can't just keep sitting there and saying it's going to be an action plan and somebody should do it, whoever. So do it. I actually said in 1998, I'll do it. Then I said, I'm not doing it. This is not my country, and not any longer. It's a disaster zone. It's a war zone. It's a madhouse and all that stuff. I said, I'm never coming back to this crazy place. But because of Anil Sharma's thing and other proddings and so on, and then I said, okay, let's give it one more chance. And technically, as I said, I'm not a member of FTI. I'm an honorary member because I'm not a citizen. And well, if it does work, who knows, then I will come back. And of course, I'm happy to come back and work anyway, which I've been telling people, please. So somebody asked me yesterday, why are you there, not here? I said, did you ask me to come here? Have you given me any job or work to do here? So why should I come here? Nobody wants to work with me. That's the beauty of this country. Nobody wants to get up and do anything about India. All the people are busy writing articles in the newspaper, writing books and all that crap. It doesn't make any difference to anybody. And now on top of that, you're saying, why am I there? Where should I be? Should I come here and do your jhadu pocha what? Am I here to clean up your country? No, sorry. You please rise and you'll do something and I'll come with you.
Is position open at
I'm a
CCS, at CEO? Mr. Park want to go on to this? Was that level called the third level? The not the sannyasi, before the third.
Yes.
The
Anyway. So there we are. Basically, in that space of...
What's the projected timeline for FTI? Has something been sort of worked
That is the interesting part. When I was thinking, because I have got disconnected, the one beauty of this getting disconnected is that actually clears your mind.
Yeah.
Please understand, it was the best thing that happened to me. Because being actively involved, right now I'm totally disconnected. You can see me from my face, I'm least bothered whether you succeed or whether I succeed. I don't care a damn, honestly, because I'm quite well settled. I am totally disconnected with this world. So in that sense, I'm able to see very, very distantly. So in my book, for example, I am writing, I see this whole thing as a thousands of years process. When I talk to people that this is really not something for today, but this actually for thousands of years, people get, what the hell is this guy talking here? But actually, one lifetime is meaningless in this history of the world. And all we can do in our life is really put in a bit of a little effort, hope that it might, bear some fruit. So that is the kind of approach here, which says that, guys, this is an offer, right? This is a suggestion. I think this is a good idea, but that's my idea. And that is based on whatever learning experience. However, unless you think it's a good idea, and unless you want to do something about it, this remains one of those silly books sitting on the bookshelf, right? So, the question is actually to be addressed by you, not by me. In the sense of, are you going to do something about it? Do you think it's a sensible idea? Do you think you want to do, contest in 2014, 2019 or whatever? I suggest, and that's what I'm telling people, FTI should remain as a platform forever. It should be continuously regenerated by fresh blood every year, and it should evolve itself. And whenever the critical mass comes, and you have raised critical funds, but not only that, you have to have the people behind you. This is a democratic process, guys. It's not something, like you go and offer yourself as a candidate and you get voted. Nobody is going to vote for you. Please be sure, in this madhouse with so much money and everything in the political side, space, you're not going to get elected unless the people want you. Why would people want you? Is the second question. You have to therefore be attractive to them, which means you need to be selling a message which is they can understand. So you see the hard work required?
I know.
Yeah.
What is the FTI doing for that? The thing you mentioned.
In terms of getting the people support, nothing. I am refusing to get people support. This is not relevant for us at the moment. The relevant thing must be done first.
But you said initially that you're interested in like if you have to clean the mess, you have to get inside. Be a part of it to bring the change. But like say I am today interested in being that change, getting inside and being the change. Why would I join FTI? Why wouldn't I go on my own and become a politician, do that?
Do whatever you like. Guys, this is free country, And what I'm saying here is that, look, if you want ethical governance, we are setting up processes to make sure that people who join FTI are really clean. We're making sure the processes are such that they will get the best policies for India, after the debate. We'll also have a process, like we actually have a process of public consultation. So religious tolerance, we have it on our website, and we offer people the opportunity to comment, and we can listen to them. But please remember that we want to win elections. That is the only focus. There is no point in wasting time if there are not enough people. So the first step first. All this is good stuff, but this is very fresh. You see how fresh it is? It's just coming out of the mind and going into some real life space and being tested at the moment. So we had this strategy workshop right in Mumbai. That's a huge amount of work on that kind of discussion. And we came back to the same view that all we're doing this year is finding leaders. Find leaders. If we don't have leaders, you know how big India is? well beyond the reach of Delhi. It's huge. There are lakhs of, hundreds of thousands of villages. We need to have people in every part of India who
We'll
understand.
start somewhere.
Start with UP. I'll send it to you.
We have a very clear strategy not to start with any state. We start only with India, which is every single constituency.
How do you find leaders? And what are the
Yes.
Recruitment.
So that's, I think, a very practical question. What are we doing to find leaders? We have basically decided that, look, there are so many people who are contested as elections. So for first thing is, you go to any educated person who's well settled, they say, politics for you? You want to change things? No, please, not for me. So the first thing you'll get is, you waste your head against the wall if you go to these guys, the guys in these houses and all that. They're basically settled into the system. Charge servants, 4 cars, they're just like flying over the world. They're not bothered about India. And they're not bothered in the sense that they will do something about it. So, but there are some people who said, I am an independent, I'll contest, I'm so sick of this thing, I'll contest an election as an independent and I'll fight against it, right? And there are lots of these 4,000 people roughly in India contested elections as independents last time. So we have said, okay, some of these guys might be good, who knows? Because being good is not enough, as I said. That is the basic minimum. You need to be in the right policy space. You need to have the expertise and so on. So how do we know that these guys are good? Well, we offer them the chance to apply and we'll find out. So we're sending out letters to these 4,000 guys. So that's one strategy. The other strategy is the kind of thing which says, guys, you here, Path's work is a node for us. It's really small. I mean, after all the work of 10 years, it's still really small. It's nowhere near what it should have been because I think the Indian support is missing. Path has not been getting the kind of funds he needs. He needs 50 times more money than what he's been getting so that he can leverage the message. He's got a great message, but sorry, nobody in India bothers about it. That's a shame, but that's what India is. They don't even do advocacy, leave alone participate in politics. They don't even support good ideas. So, but there is at least a hope among you guys. IFAN, FNS TV, IFAN, LYF, etc. So that's why this little thing was organized by you guys. I mean, I didn't organize it, remember? Mana, you organized it, and basically you organized it, and who else was it? And Liberty Institute. So that's how we have called what we call outreach efforts. These outreach efforts. So we're saying, let's go and talk to people who are potentially interested, who at least are partially interested, who are at least willing to come and listen, like you guys are willing to listen to. That's quite a big win, somebody listening. I've been talking, but nobody listens. Nobody wants to listen because they say this is totally crazy. Nobody is going to have me. Please leave us alone. They get put off the moment you talk policy. You talk religion, they get excited. Oh, something must happen. But policy changes? No. So let's leverage off each other. So I'm talking of leverage here. Where is this leverage? Convergence, leverage. The convergence is bringing people together, and leverage is spreading the message. So the leverage is through you guys. And that actually is also convergence because you're helping us find leaders. So you would now, after hearing me potentially, hopefully, you'd say, oh, this is for real. This book is actually for real. This is a real book. It's written by a real guy for a real reason. It's not just sitting on the internet as a kind of waste of time. And that kind of a message, if you can then take it to some brother of yours who's working in some big business, who knows what. Say, please give these guys 5,000 rupees. Hey, that'll be the first rupee we get in this year. We have got not a single paisa from India. And for 2 years, and that's fine. Look, I'm not at all fussed about it. I think the deal here is to leverage. We are contacting strategic investors. I've spoken to a couple of people, I won't name them. We will try to get some funds which are clean. Again, the other condition, we don't accept black money. If you have got undisclosed income, please don't come to us. Now that is virtually impossible to find in India. Everybody's got undisclosed income, at least in the business.
And then you also don't accept foreign money.
And we don't accept foreign money. Totally unacceptable. So, you see, this is simply a moral force. This is the white force. The white force against the dark, against the black force.
Sorry for interrupting again, but what is immoral about foreign money?
Foreign money, by the way, if you read the FCR, is prohibited. No, advocacy is okay. Guys, let's be clear. The law of India, the liberal follows the laws of the country. And I personally have views against foreign money for politics in any country anyway. But Indian law forbids the use of foreign money for any political party or an organization with political intent. This is an organization with political intent. It forbids, and I think I fully agree with that law, because the country must run itself. We don't want China to dictate our policies and who gets elected. So let's raise our own resources. People ask me this question. I wonder why aren't you able to see the difference? If, for example, we get Russia were to come and fund our political parties in a big way, they actually did some of these things. Would it be a good thing for India? No. Politically, please let us, fund ourselves. It's an independent country. The word independent has significant impact in the word of political science. It's a sovereign nation. We are equal of another. We do not accept others' charity for such things. And we do not accept charity, should not accept for anything. Leave that alone. But this is a fundamental concept. For advocacy, I have a different view, which is fine, which is what the law says. I have other views on advocacy. I won't go into detail. Pretty religious advocacy and the flow of huge amount of religious funds. That's another issue.
Yeah, one question I had is that working with FTI and the team also requires regular presence on the internet and being able to respond, participate quickly, and there is a timeline by which you need to respond. So, how have you been able to work around that? And if there are people who are very committed, very good, but don't have regular access to internet, because that's the kind of problem
we had this.
Also face.
The moment we are moving away, because we can't find leaders in these houses. We have to find leaders in the villages or in the small towns. Because those guys are angry, okay? Note, these guys are not angry. They are enjoying, they are exploiting them. And that's the correct word to use, even though that sounds Marxist. The people who are actually their subordinates are the category of people we want. But they are not policy trained. And they don't have internet access. That's a big problem for us. We have therefore worked out a system of telephone mentoring and telephone networking. That FTI members, we already have one member of this sort in Mirzapur, who is actually with us. He's a not full member, but because the other issue is that nobody else knows him, so he's not getting the votes to join. It's a big issue for us because this guy is a great guy, he's working on the ground, but unfortunately, nobody knows him. So he's not getting 5 supporters, and Anil's votes are finished. He can't bring him on. So, but leaving that aside, which will work on our process to fix. We need to have a system where an FTA member networks over the telephone and communicates the key messages to these guys. Because everybody does have a mobile phone in India, you see. That's one of the good things we have now. So using the mobile phone to say, this is what was being discussed, do you have any view that I should take back to the team, and vice versa. That's a very difficult job. However, we believe that's the only feasible approach at the moment.
You said as of now you have been using internet for your membership drive. I don't know if you have a membership drive or not. But you
is a membership drive. It's a membership drive.
You are also interested in getting to the people in the villages?
Villages only to get members for the team.
Right? Now, all your members as of now are full-time workers at...
They're working professionals. They're working professionals.
So how do you think you'll be able to get to those people? As you said, India is a big country. You have to reach out.
Outreach efforts. I mean, we are talking about outreach efforts.
That's what I'm asking. Like there are 2-3 steps to it. First, all I'm gathering from your conversation is that you want members. Second, you want support as well. But as of now, you're not ready to full support.
Yeah. First is members.
That's the second phase, maybe.
Yeah.
The first phase is to get members. Yeah. Now, what is your plan for it?
See, we had this strategy called evangelical, not investors, but the evangelical full-timers for FTI. We have now taught 2 full-time people on FTI. Sorry, 3 people full-time because they retired, right? One is an ex-vice chief of naval staff, one is an ex-colonel, one is an ex-scientist from Harvard Atomic Research Center. So these are retired people, and what we do have in mind, and one of them actually said she's fully ready for that anyway, Akalpida, who actually came to that conference, whatever the event, is that if we can raise sufficient funds for them, they will go out the whole year, one end of the country to the other, in all parts of the country, and talk. So they will conduct outreach. That is the way we'll find them. We need funds for that, right? So we have definitely been looking for about 5 crore rupees We believe that if that comes, we will. The other part, don't forget, is also the media. We have not yet even touched the television or the newspaper.
Yeah.
We have in mind clearly the media as a tool, for which we are thinking of. So, Bhuvan Singh, who's in Darwin, actually there's another guy outside India, that's Bhuvan. He's in Darwin, an ex-army guy. Unfortunately, the outside people, too many of them outside people, they should all be here. But anyway, he designed some kind of a YouTube video, very poor quality, but still something. And then that sparked an idea, okay, let's have a documentary. So then we've got some ideas from Bangalore, from somebody who's working on a documentary plan. And then the other day I spoke to, in one of our members is making documents for other things, so I said, okay, he'll also help prepare an FTI documentary. If we can get an FTI documentary, or if we can get some FTI, inputs into the television, I'm also working with another person to try to get that. I'm saying these are all pieces in work in progress, there's no guarantee. We could then hopefully start getting some messages on FTI, about FTI on the internet, the television. And that television, goes out quite a bit to a lot of people. That's the other way to send the message.
Have you considered radio outreach through radio, because that's one of the most effective media?
Actually, you're right. Radio is even more effective than
in
this
the
one.
villages.
Yeah. So, but note that each of these does require a lot of resources. They don't come free. So you had a question.
Yes. Going to the second stage of your resource generation, are you willing to accept resources from people, money?
Yeah, of course.
From those who are not willing to join the party or the team at all?
Of course. We say you contribute. See, the deal here is that India has to wake up, and the educated classes that has become like swollen beetle